with all due respect.
Hey, we're Josh Ortegon and Gray Gaines, and this is With All Due Respect, the show where we keep it real about health, fitness, and performance. From weight loss to sports development, we're covering the conversations that matter.
Follow us on Instagram at Phenom Fitness, PHNM Fitness, and visit www.phenomfit.com to check out our training programs, coaching, and gear built for real results. Let's get into it.
All right, guys. Today we have Marci Nevin on. Gray, this was your reach out. She popped
Yeah.
you on social.
Yeah, a long time ago. I think like 5 years ago is what I nailed down for getting as a follower on Marcy's social. But it's funny because I know we had reached out initially to Marcy to talk about more of the 35 plus women's issues with hormones and all the things that are popular right now on Instagram. And this really turned into a mindset talk.
Yeah, it did. I really like to talk to her a little bit about her journey, um, how she's very honest with her
Right.
clients and her people, which I think people need to hear honesty. But it talked about the mindset and the mindset of not just dieters, but the mindset of somebody going through this journey and improving their health and fitness, not just women, but pretty much the mindset for everybody, right?
Right, right. And I think it's such an important conversation. Like I said in the episode, we really haven't talked about it in a long time. And I think constantly making somebody feel like their thought process isn't alone and they don't feel alone in whatever they're battling, I think is really important for somebody to maintain their progress.
I agree. We hope you guys enjoy.
Hey guys, here we go.
All right, here we are. We're back with Marci Nevin, with all due respect. And this is one of those subjects, guys, where I just introduce people. I grab my notebook and I just learn. And this is, I feel like Gray kind of got to you. Gray, how did you get to Marcy through her content?
I I couldn't tell you when I first followed you, Marcy. I think it's been a long time. Because I have tried to go back through like the times that I've liked your stories and stuff, and I want to say it's around COVID years, first COVID years. So it's been a little while, but
Yeah.
it's, those people, I feel like your algorithm kind of cycles through, and I started seeing a lot more of your posts over the last, 4, 5, 6 months, and I was like, this is what our client base is a lot of the time too, is the women over 35, over 40. And I was like, this is so relevant just to the conversations that are being had in our day-to-day coaching. So
Well, I'm so glad that the algorithm finally did us a
brought
favor
us back.
because I feel like the people who I actually want to be seeing their content, I no longer do.
Yeah.
And all the bullshit that I don't want to be seen, I'm getting, fed these accounts who I don't even follow. It's like suggested for you. And sometimes they're good, other times they're trash. But yeah, the algorithm changes have been so frustrating.
Where
Yeah.
you mostly on Instagram? I feel like that's what
Uh,
they introduced me to you.
Yeah, so primarily on Instagram, I do have a podcast that I've been doing. It's our, 1 year anniversary in 2 weeks.
Excellent.
So it's
Awesome.
exciting. I love to podcast. I had one a couple of years ago as well. Transitioned away from that, and then yeah, doing this other one. And then I've started to put some of my videos on TikTok, but there's like six because I do want to switch my content up a little bit. I
Mhm.
felt like the 5, 7 second reels with the hook, those were doing well for a period of time. The carousels are those were really popular for me for a while. The content that has done the best for me actually are the tweet posts. So, Twitter is now X. I do not post on Twitter. I do threads instead.
Okay.
And, I don't want to say I have a lot of success there, but it's just basically putting whatever I say on Instagram, I'll put on threads and then I'll put on TikTok. But I've been experimenting with doing more talk to the camera reels.
Yeah.
And before we started recording, we were saying that I am somewhat of a tough love coach. I want to speak the truth. Otherwise, I don't think people are going to change and essentially call them out on their bullshit
Mhm.
and make them aware of what they are doing. So I have been leaning into that a little bit more, really enjoying it, and then just putting it on TikTok and seeing how it does, which isn't great at this point, but whatever. It's out
She
there.
showed me
So,
your stuff, and I watched your stuff, and I went, "That's really honest, and that's really to the point." And people change starts with truth,
mhm.
and you do it in still a way that's kind of like, "Hey, get off your butt and go. You can do this, but here's the things you have to do. If you're not going to do it, don't complain about it."
Exactly.
And
Yes.
I had a call with a client one time, and the first thing she said to me was, "Well, what are you going to do to keep me consistent?" And I'm like, "What am I going to do? Like,
Sorry.
like, what am I'm come over and cook your food for you?" And she's like, "Yeah, I need someone to make sure I'm motivated." And I'm like, I don't know if I can help you.
No.
I don't know if I can help you. I don't. I,
Unless you pay me to be in your home every
yeah, I
day.
was confused by her question. I was like, "Well, I see now why I'm the fifth coach you've talked to in a year, right?" But the subject we're tackling, and we'd said this before, that you hate the word perimenopause, but you do use it in your content. And you said kind of the women over 35, 40, and what they struggle with. And that is you made a really good point to me. You said, I don't remember my mom going through menopause. I don't remember these horrible things going on. I don't remember much. But you're right. I feel like social media is punching me in the face with perimenopause, and that's why the women can't lose weight. And there's, everybody's kind of going through that struggle of the perimenopause. And I think this topic is going to get a lot of traction, but I have a feeling it's not going to be exactly what people think it's going to be.
Yeah.
They think they're gonna watch this and come up with all these reasons why they're not losing weight and why they all need to get on hormones and why it's not their fault and why I should be held accountable because I'm doing it. And I have a feeling if people start this podcast and get through, they're gonna realize that there are some other factors at play here.
Well, I sure hope that is our intention. And I'm just going to start by saying I am 41 now, so technically in perimenopause. Fortunately, I don't have a lot of perimenopause symptoms. I am assuming because I take impeccable care of myself. And
Mhm.
I have for 20 years. So I was overweight when I was a kid and I lost weight, got into shape when I was about 15 through practices that were not the best, Weight Watchers, things like that. But I've been able to, or I lost that weight and I've been able to maintain it for the past 25 years. I'm not someone who is on the wagon, off the wagon, yo-yoing, losing the weight, gaining it, all of that. But I will say, when I got to college, I did develop not a full blown eating disorder, but definitely disordered eating and exercise habits. And I always say it was for no fault of my own. I wasn't purposely trying to do that or like eat as little as possible, but I was following the advice in the fitness magazines, which I did not know at the time. And I'm not talking like shape with all the wafy women, who are really thin. Like, no, I wanted to look like the figure competitors in Oxygen,
Okay.
Muscle and Fitness. I'm like, give me that muscular X frame physique. Like that was my goal.
Mhm.
And so all I knew at the excuse me, all I knew at the time was to start following what they were outlining in the magazines, which was essentially a competition prep diet. So go and do 45 minutes of fasted cardio and then eat six small meals a day that is very high in protein, low in carb, mostly vegetables, very low fat as well. And then come back, lift, do more cardio. And I got shredded, but I also weighed probably 95 pounds, was afraid of any food that wasn't clean. And at that young of an age, I did tank my hormones. I developed an autoimmune disease at 21 years old, which I know genetics loads the gun, environment, lifestyle pulls the trigger. So, like, I had the genetic predisposition for this autoimmune disease, but then my lifestyle and how I was treating my body is what made it manifest essentially. And then a year later, I started to develop these awful symptoms to the point where all through my 20s into my early 30s, I literally felt like I was dying. And so I had all of the perimenopause symptoms, fatigue, muscle pain, joint pain, brain fog, like you name it, I had it. And I still managed to maintain my physique, make progress, all of that. So I'm sorry. Can perimenopause symptoms make it harder? Absolutely. I'm not discounting that, but it does not make it impossible. And I am a testament to that. And now at 41, I'm the leanest and in the best shape that I've ever been in perimenopause.
What are your so now I'm really intrigued by your story.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of a similar story, like little got into competing early. Um Food exercise was more punishment. If I ate bad, I would carb deplete the next day, train really hard, super hard on my body. Again, I saw the same magazines you were seeing and
Hmm.
watching bodybuilding things, and I wanted to look like that, not knowing all that went into that, right?
Hmm.
At the time.
Yeah. And,
And
and and the drugs, let's be honest.
the
I'm like,
drug, yeah,
oh,
that's
no wonder
exactly what I
I
was going
don't
to say.
no wonder I don't look like that eating my
That's
chicken and
yes.
broccoli.
And the drugs that went into it and the lifestyle and uh developed a punishing approach to food where if I ate a piece of pizza, then I had to do the fasted cardio in the morning and train really hard, like that. And then what actually saved me, I tell this to Gray, I'm coming up on like 9 straight years of tracking.
Okay.
And people are like, well, that's a little bit obsessive. That's a little, I said, actually, no, it's done the other side for me. I realized that like if I go a little bit off the diet, it's not the end of the world. I can adjust my day, eat some foods, I eat more variety of foods, keeps me accountable to a calorie intake that's healthy and high for my body. And it helps me monitor the bank account of tracking. So I am way more healthier, way better relationship with food, eat way more variety of foods. If I don't know, then I start panicking and then I start eating less and less and less, and I just don't know. And
Yeah.
I think that's a common story with people uh, who who want to look a certain way, don't know how.
Hmm.
So I really relate to that story. What got you into working with that age of women? Was it you just started putting out content and people started approaching you? Was it your friends?
Hmm.
Uh, Was it just, hey, these are the people I know that need help and I know I can help them? What led you into working with that population of women?
Yeah, and really quick before I go into that, I just want to rewind and say I resonate with everything you said.
Mhm.
And tracking is what essentially healed my relationship with
Me too.
food.
Me too.
And I like to say structure leads to freedom. So sometimes structure, too much structure can be suffocation if you do not also build the tools, the mindset to like go away from that structure every now and then, which I definitely can as well.
Mhm.
But I'm very similar to you, Josh, where I like tracking because I do come from a disordered eating background. And I know, like, if I wasn't, because I like looking lean and feeling good in my body, I probably would err on the side of eating less and restricting a
100%.
little bit than going, completely off the walls in the opposite direction. But I hired my first, I shouldn't say I hired my first coach when I was 25 because I was working with a bodybuilder in my early 20s once I graduated college who, put me on a meal plan and whatnot because that's what they did at the time.
Mhm.
Similar to what I was, learning or I guess following in the fitness magazines. But I hired this guy at the age of 25 and he did put me on a meal plan. But what was nice about it is he had this database where we could substitute foods.
Oh,
So
cool.
it didn't feel, I still have access to it 15 years later and I do use it.
Yeah.
Probably. But yes, I was able to swap foods, but it was for the first time since, the age of 15 where I was eating carbs and, cheese and fruit and cereal and frozen yogurt and making progress. I was like, oh my gosh, like this is what I needed to
Hmm.
break free of that mindset. And
Hmm.
then I stopped working with him. I found macro counting. And so, it was different in the sense that I wasn't following a meal plan, but I did have that structured flexibility. And I knew that any food can fit and I can still make progress so long as it fits into my calorie or macro budget.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think it is, freedom for sure. So I'm glad that we were on the same page
Yeah.
there. When it comes to how I started working with this, aged group of women, I didn't really do it intentionally. So I started my fitness career, so to speak, when I was 25. I got my personal training certification when I was in college, and I worked at a 24-hour fitness. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest with you. It was just like, oh, this is my passion. And I didn't have the goal of making it a career. I actually wanted to go into outside sales. Like I really wanted to make a lot of money and, be this like high powered businesswoman. But I thought to myself, well, let's say I have kids one day and I don't want to work, or I'm in between jobs. This would be something to fall back on. And then I did do it for about, I don't know, 6 months at the end of college. So after I graduated, I got into outside sales. And let's just say it did not go well. I got fired from my first job. And it was like, oh shit, what am I going to do? Like, what is my next step? And at that time, I was really struggling with my health issues. So I was kind of afraid to go back into corporate America because, like, I didn't know, like, am I going to be able to keep up with the pace, right? When I don't feel well all day. So, long story short, I won't get into it, but I essentially got hired at a small personal studio gym in my hometown and started training clients. I'm like, this is just what I'm going to do to buy myself some time. Well, 12 years later, I was still doing it. And in working with, I mean, a mix of men and women, but definitely women who were far older than I was. So I was 25, 30 maybe at the time, and they were all in their mid 50s, or excuse me, mid 40s, 50s, like even 60s. So that's kind of where I got my start. And then I remember just being so burnt out on one-to-one in-person coaching. I'm like, I have got to do something different. So in 2015, I hired my first business coach and started posting more content, all of that. And then in 2017 is when my account really grew. And then the pandemic happened, my gym shut down. So like I had no choice but to go fully online. And at that point, like I was just speaking to whoever. It wasn't, oh, I'm only targeting women in their 40s. Like I was still in my early mid 30s, I think, at the time. It was just like, I'll take whoever I can get. If you're a 20-year-old, if you're a 60-year-old, that's fine. But also, like we were talking about offline, the things have really changed in the online coaching space. And if you are not speaking to a very specific demographic of people, like you are getting lost in the, hundreds of thousands of different accounts at this point. So I was like, all right, I'm 41 at the time or now. So this is the demographic of woman that I am and that I know. So that's when I started to like more target, for lack of a better word, that clientele.
Do you also think that women in this demographic are often the times that are the kinds of people that need the most help? Like that's what I feel like I experience with a lot of people that ask me for help or ask me to become their coach. It is a lot of the time women between like that 35 to 60 range. And I always tell them, I'm like, you were the generation that always saw the fitness magazines, like you were talking about earlier. You went through every single diet phase, you went through every single workout. You have no idea what to do. So I do feel like they are always the people that are needing the most help.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I appreciate that perspective because so often we are just a product of our conditioning and the environment that we grew up in. I mean, my mother, God love her, she used to tell me a moment on your lips, forever on your hips. The woman, we did the cabbage soup diet together when I was 12 years old. We went on Weight Watchers together when I was 15. Like,
Yeah.
think that led to my disordered eating down the road. That was
Sure.
something completely different. But I have stories of her, or I remember her telling me stories of when she was in her early 20s or early 30s, trying to lose weight, and all she would eat all day is an apple and popcorn and jump rope.
Hmm.
So like that's kind of what I was led to believe is what you needed to do if you wanted to lose weight. Luckily, I didn't go, down that path. So I think that's part of it because so many of the women that I do work with who are at my age or even older, they're also having to kind of, uncover, so to speak. That's maybe not the right word, but undo what was modeled to them by their mothers, their grandmothers, which were like the low fat dieting, yeah, restricting food, such an obsession on weight and the scale. So, like I said, with me, it was for no fault of their own. It's all they knew, and it's what they grew up believing. So I mean, we know how powerful beliefs and mindset are, and it's not just the flip of the switch. if you've been doing this, even with your habits,
Yeah.
if you've been overeating or stress eating for 10 years, like you're not just gonna, undo it overnight. So it takes a lot of that remodeling. So that's one issue. The other is at this time in life. I mean, I don't have kids, I'm single, but I am a business owner. I'm a very busy person. And like stress is high at this time of life for so many reasons.
Mm.
So I think for women who are moms and wives, they're running a household, maybe they're working full time and they're dealing, and this is, my experience right now as well with aging parents. They're like in that sandwich generation. There's so many expectations on women as well that they are living a very high stress, high power life. And what do you usually do to cope with that? You eat,
Mhm.
you drink, anything that is going to allow you to kind of dissociate from how you're feeling.
Mm.
And then two, I
Totally.
think still just in that mindset of, oh, if I lift weights, I'm going to get bulky. And, they want to have that like lean toned look. So they're still doing a lot of cardio. They're lifting lightweight for heavy or for, lots of reps, thinking that that's going to get them the body that they want. So yeah, it's just undoing all of those beliefs.
I would say 88 out of 10 women that just listened to you right now for that last 2 or 3 minutes would probably go, yeah, I think that. Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, that's
Hmm.
hard because I got 3 teenagers now, and I don't know the last time I focused on me and me feeling healthy, or, you know, I one of the things that I try to talk about a lot is I give credit to the difficulty of changing a habit
Mm-hmm.
and changing and the processes that have to get in place to change a habit. And when you talk to people about, and I used this example yesterday, I said, people have a lot of people, well, you just need to eat more protein, get a high protein breakfast. And then they leave the conversation. And
Mm-hmm.
I go, no, that person's never done that. They don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to grocery shop for that. They don't know how to prepare a healthy food for that. They don't know what it looks like at all. And
Mm-hmm.
until you change those habits and those processes over time, you can get online and get a workout. You can get online and have somebody do your macros and they can hand it to you, but you're not giving them anything,
Right.
really.
Yeah.
You're helping them change those habits and those processes. And what you just explained to me is now you're taking it a step further. You're connecting to their mindsets that they have and re-educating them on new ways to take care of their health. And it sounds like you're talking to them about the importance of making their health a priority.
Absolutely. And the other thing that I am trying to recondition is that making progress, getting the results that you want, improving your health, feeling better, whatever it is, it's usually the combination of all of that. It doesn't require a lot of time. It doesn't require punishment. Like, is it going to feel hard? Yes. Going into the gym and pushing yourself, it is challenging.
Mhm.
But it's the best type of challenge. And you guys know, like, there is truly no better feeling than when you finish a hard workout, you kept that promise to yourself, you pushed yourself, like you feel on top of the world. But I think a lot of women, they associate making progress, whether that's weight loss, building muscle and improving their physique, like I have to punish myself and it just has to be this miserable experience. Or I have to eat really bland, boring food. I can't have a social life. I have to give up everything that I enjoy. And it's like, no. I mean, I do a lot of fitness, let's say. I mean, I lift weights 4 days a week. I do cardio 4 days a week. I get no less than 10,000 steps. So, like, is it time consuming? Yeah, but like you make the time for it if you want. But it's, I don't feel like it's taking up so much of my life or away from things that I would rather be doing. And that's really what we talk about on our podcast. It's called Wellness for Real Life. My co-host, she's 45. She is divorced, single, has two boys. She lost 70 pounds. So she has much more of like a weight loss story than I did. But before she became an online coach, she was a very high up HR exec working 70 hours per week,
Mhm.
raising a family, and she still was able to lose weight. So she started, doing it the complete wrong way and then realized like this ain't working, so had to change her ways. And now like what we focus on is just like the basics, and that you can keep it simple. It doesn't have to be time consuming, and you can make amazing progress.
That's the whole thing, I think, right? Like just hearing your story and her story, it's a matter of sacrifice. Are
Mm-hmm.
you willing to sacrifice that one singular hour or 45 minutes or 30 minutes for the greater good? And you get to a point in your exercise routine, and I feel this way about mine. I'm now at a point where I've built up so much in my exercise bank that if I take a day off, it's really not that big of a deal, you know?
Yes. I love that because it all compounds. I'm like every workout is pennies deposited in the Progress Penny Bank.
Mhm.
And
Right.
I'm at the point now where I'm actually going to go visit her probably first week of September. I likely will not be training. I won't be tracking. I'm not going to eat like an asshole. We're,
Mhm.
going to still eat healthy food, but I'll probably be eating out, multiple times while I'm there. We'll be walking, so like keeping up with like the majority of our habits. But yeah, like still enjoying myself. And I won't even worry about it
Yeah.
because I will get, again, like I've made so much progress that my body can handle that. And also, I know as soon as my feet hit the California soil, I will be back on track. And that's
Yeah.
where so many people go wrong is like, oh, I totally blew it. So, well, summer's almost over. I may as well just keep going and get back on track and fall. That
Yeah.
is where they dig themselves into a hole. And one of my favorite phrases that I, coined from another coach, this guy, Danny Matranga, I don't know if you follow him,
Yeah.
huge following. He says, the quickest way out of a hole is to just stop digging. And what do
Right.
most women do? They keep digging because they have that perfectionist mentality or all or nothing mentality, or if I can't do it perfectly, if I screwed up one time, I may as well just keep going. It's like, well, no, like you're a smart woman. Let's think about this logically. So, and the other example I use, and we were talking about this with, tracking being disordered, but if you accidentally overdrafted your account, would you be like, fuck it, I'm just going to keep spending, Just like dig myself deeper into the
Yeah.
red. No, you would stop spending and do whatever you can to get yourself out of debt,
Yeah.
right? And people just like they don't have that same logic when it comes to their nutrition. So,
Mhm.
okay, maybe you ate 500 calories over your budget. You're probably still at maintenance calories. And if
Mhm.
you would have just stopped there and moved on, all would
You'd
have
be
been
fine.
What is
Yeah.
it? What is it, do you think? Because we all have worked with people, and it seems like a lot of people, when I try to follow up with people and I don't hear back from them for like a day,
Mhm.
I know I'm like, well, we did it again. And they'll get back to me and they'll be like, well, I ate something on Friday and just said screw it, and now it's Monday and I'm back to where I was because I just blew the whole weekend because I figured I just did something bad on Friday and now I'm Monday and I regret it. And they feel bad about themselves. And so the cycle continues. They
Yeah.
work good, they do good, they do good, they have a bad day, they blow it off. Like the yo-yo dieting people, right? They do something extreme, they can't do it, they feel bad about themselves, and then it's all or nothing. What is it about what is it about we as people that feel like we have to like it's perfect or nothing?
Ugh.
Then I know that's such a tough question.
It's such a tough question, and I wish I knew because
Yeah.
I don't subscribe to that mentality anymore in my fitness,
Hmm.
but there are other areas of life
Yeah.
where I do.
Hmm.
And I really I don't know.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, it's such a tough question. And human psychology is fascinating, right? So I'll give an example from my own life currently. I went and had what's called my colors done, like a color analysis.
Hmm.
And basically, Joshua, you probably never heard of this. Gray is like smiling and nodding her head. So essentially, like I went and I met with this woman in person, and she was able to assess the undertones of my skin color and find out which season I am, which I am in autumn, completely opposite that I would have expected or even wanted to be. And it basically like tells you what colors look best with your skin tone and kind
Gotcha.
of
Yep.
like bring out the best in you, right? And so it was great. It was a little bit of an overwhelming experience because I realized, oh, I'm gonna have to, if I really want to, like make myself look magnetic, get rid of all of my black, all of my gray, which was 99% of my wardrobe. So I come home and she sends me home with this like really nice like color fan with all these swatches. I was like, oh, this is going to be so helpful when I go shopping and, kind of like redesigning my wardrobe. And I got home and I started going through my clothes. I was like, all right, I've got to get rid of pretty much everything. But also, I was putting up these swatches to certain things that I owned. I'm like, well, that's not like an exact match, so it must not be good enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is fascinating.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
think,
a
oh, go
big piece, I think a big piece of it, and I don't remember, Josh, who we talked about with this. It might have been Jamie, but I can't remember. But a big piece of our psychology is always shame,
on. Yes.
right? So a big piece of that all or nothing mentality is shame either way. It's
Mhm.
either I do it perfectly or I do it not at all because I don't want shame in half-assing it.
Right. And where did that come from? So
Right.
Yeah.
we
Ooh,
were
now we're
not,
going. Yeah. Now we're
yeah,
going. Yeah.
this is the stuff I really like to talk
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
we did not come out of the womb feeling like we were less than or we had to be perfect to be valued and loved and get respect from usually our primary caretakers. So
Mhm.
I've used the example of my mom many times in this podcast, but that's a lot of times where this stems from is a very hard riding parent or caregiver. I mean, now it can even be the societal pressure that we experience. So it's like if you don't get straight A's, then you're grounded or you're not good enough, all of that. So, women a lot of times, I'm speaking to women.
Yeah.
Yeah, they take that and then they bring it into every other area of their life as well. I
I
think
Mhm.
had
that's
a
the root of
client
it.
whose mother fed her separate from the other children
Oh,
because
wow.
she thought she was gaining too much weight. And they would sit
Wow.
down at I mean, it almost breaks my heart when she
And
told me.
that like fucks people up forever.
Yes, she would
Mhm.
sit down with the family. The family would eat. The dad would always eat stuff. She goes, my dad always ate something different too. If he didn't like what was cooked, he'd do his own food. But she goes, she had a brother and a sister, and they would get something, and then my mom would feed me something different at the dinner table when she was like 11 or 12 because she thought she was getting a little too heavy.
Oh,
And I'm like, holy cow, I don't know if I can help you. I can help you from nutrition, but that is far beyond. I hope you can find someone you can talk to work through that because what that does to you at 11, 12 years old, if that's not like, what if you had a friend over and you had to eat something different and they go, well, why are you eating something different? Like, that can,
I mean, shame again.
oh my
yeah.
gosh.
The
Oh,
way
Oh,
back
when
to
she told me
shame.
that story, I just kind of like nodded and then we got off the phone and I'm like, oh my gosh.
that's absolutely heartbreaking.
It's
Mhm.
And it's like I at this point, I'm 41, I don't want kids. I can be very honest about that. But there are times I'm like, man, I wish I had kids because I would not that I would be a perfect parent by any means,
yeah.
but I would do my damnedest to make sure that those kids were raised with a very healthy mindset and a relationship with food, with exercise, their bodies, all of that. Yeah. The other one that's really big, and this can be cultural as well, the Clean Plate Club. So if you don't finish your plate, you can't get up from the table. You can't have dessert. So there's also that kind of, I have to finish everything, even if I'm not hungry, even if I'm full. So
Yep.
overriding your own satiety cues, which makes people gain weight, especially if they're not tracking. And then also that like bleeds into the reward mentality. I can only eat something that is quote unquote unhealthy if I ate
Eat my
something.
vegetables. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Where do you,
exactly the kind of household that I grew up in. Like I actually just posted about this and it was funny you mentioned Beth earlier because I reposted something of hers, but my mom really never like talked about her physique growing up. And I think that's very helpful because I always looked at my physique now as like it's a workhorse for me. Like it does things for me. I don't really care about what it looks like. I mean, of course, I have some kind of, you know, I like my physique the way it is, but it doesn't matter at the end of the day. But I did grow up in a household. It's like you got to finish your plate and you
Yep.
got to eat your fruits and vegetables. And if you want ice cream, you got to finish your protein and your vegetables. And I still struggle with that as an adult. And I think it's, when it comes to coaching, taking those things into account of what your clients have been through in the past, very interesting in how you coach them now.
And it's so interesting too how those moments can just be burned into your brain.
Yeah.
And my parents did not do that to me, but and I don't have a lot of vivid childhood memories for some reason.
hmm.
And,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
one of my most vivid was, and I don't remember how old I was. We were down at our family beach house, which we went to every summer. And I was over at like one of the neighbors' houses. I don't even know who these people were, to be honest with you. And I remember eating lunch there, and they fed me this like stew. And I was like, I don't like stew. I was like 8 years old, maybe. And it was like a hot summer day, and they're feeding me this hot stew. And I just kind of sat there and I didn't want to finish it. And they would not let me get up from the table until that was done. Yeah. So
Not their own child.
no,
That's so
luckily, like,
weird.
it didn't carry over into the rest of my life. But
Sure.
yeah, it's interesting how, and even just like one comment, I mean, some of my vivid memories from childhood are the negative comments that people said to me, the boys that made fun of me. And like that can really have an impact as well, whether
Yeah.
it's, yeah, another sex, it's your parent, all that. So that really does shape who we are today. So I understand, we're like, oh, it can't be that hard. And it's like, it is simple, but it's not easy because there's so much that goes into it.
Right.
Where do you stand on I have a lot of women or just people in general. They say this to me in passing, like I think I'm going to be okay with it. I'm like, and we do these follow-ups, they fill out their sheet, and we'll have communication with them. They're like, yeah, but I did so good this week on a Friday night. I had a little piece of cake and two glasses of wine to reward myself.
Mm.
Where
Yep.
do you fall on the food reward side? That is way more uncommon than I thought. Some people call it cheat meals.
Yeah.
Well, food reward to me, and they say you hear that all the time. Well, I just needed something to look forward to. So I knew when I went out with my friend Saturday, I was going to get two or three glasses of wine and the dessert to reward myself for doing all my workouts.
Yeah. That is just the epitome of a negative relationship with
Okay.
food.
Hmm.
And also just taking care of your body. Here's the thing. We are adults. So we have to do stuff that we don't like to do. And isn't it interesting how, again, don't have kids, but you tell your kids to do all these things, and yet you don't apply the same practices to yourself.
Oh,
Your kids get fed on a schedule. Your kids go to sleep and wake up at the same times. Your kids take naps or rest when they're tired, yet you don't. Or you pack your kids food when they have a long day at the sporting event, and you don't eat anything. So it's just that mentality is very odd to me. But when going back to the reward mentality, it's like, yeah, you're an adult, you're gonna have to do shit that you don't like to do just to get by in life. Go to work, do the grocery shopping, clean the house. So why are we rewarding ourselves for things that you have to do? That does not make any sense. And then, oh, I'm rewarding myself because I stuck to my workout plan. Well, do you realize that that workout probably didn't burn all that many calories, not nearly as many as even your fitness tracker said it did. And now you're basically eating yourself out of that caloric deficit that maybe you burned through the exercise. So it just makes no logical sense. And I've written content on this many times. Like, what you're really deserving of is not food, is not alcohol, is not to laze around on the couch on the weekend because you're tired. It's to make the progress that you say you want to make, that you are working to make,
mhm.
rather than giving into temporary satisfaction that is fleeting, is going to last a couple of minutes, and then likely is going to make you feel like shit
Yeah.
and start you, on that cycle again.
Hmm.
It's just amazing how normal that is for people, that food
Yeah.
reward side. And
Yeah.
they talk to you like you're going to be like, it's okay, like you're cool with it. The parent thing for me is I work with a lot of kids. I've
Oh,
nutrition a lot with athletes.
okay.
I've had a lot of parents come to me and say, can you talk to my kid about their nutrition because they want me to be the bad guy? They
Mm,
want me to say the things that they're afraid to say because they want me to be the bad person.
interesting.
And what comes back all the time is the same story. I had a mom come to me and said, can you talk to my kid about not eating hot dogs every night? And I said, well, why are hot dogs in the house? Well, his dad loves hot dogs. And I stop and I'm quiet and I'm like, think about what you just said. He's eating hot dogs because his dad loves hot dogs, but you're asking this 15-year-old to have the complete opposite, more grown-up behavior around food than his father does. If you want your son to change, you have to model that in the home.
Mm-hmm.
And then you hear parents say things like, well, especially the dads who want to talk to me about their football player kid who wants to gain muscle. Well, I already did all that when I played high school football and I played in college and I'm just past all that. Well, that doesn't get you off the hook of modeling it for your son. In fact, it's even worse now because you don't do anything active. You've gained 100 pounds. You expect these things from your son, and you talk about discipline and work ethic. You have to model those for your children.
Absolutely. That's
You
where it
have,
starts.
he will start eating better when dad eats better. He'll start going for walks when dad exercises. You're berating your kid for not having discipline when he's watching complete lack of discipline in the home,
Mm-hmm.
health perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, that hurts the parents' feelings because it's now on them.
Exactly.
But that is the fact that habits are caught, not taught.
Oh, I like that.
Doing what he's seeing in the house, and you want his nutrition to change when dad sat by the grill and drank 12 beers and ate the steak and then had the ice cream and passed out on the couch, but you want your kid to go to bed early and get up and eat a breakfast for the travel baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
does not work for me. I'm
There-
sorry.
there's a disconnect there for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing I don't understand is these women, they tell me if they have a trigger food, and that's something else that I can go down a rabbit hole of the language behind things. Oh, I can't be trusted. That's my trigger food. I'm addicted to sugar. No, whatever it is. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You are because you have that belief and you've made it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Mhm.
Right. So, but anyway, they will say, it's so hard for me to keep these foods in the house. I'm like, so don't.
Yeah.
Right.
It's as easy as that. Now, I eventually do want to get someone to the point where they can have that food in the house and they can trust themselves enough to
Mhm.
not overeat it. But temporarily, you may need to remove the temptation until you do have a better relationship with food. You have built more self-trust. And there are ways that you can do that. But yeah, it's like, oh, well, the kids need it, or my husband needs it. Like you're the
He
adult.
needs it.
You're the one, yeah, if you're the one going to the grocery store and buying the food, you get to decide what comes in and what stays out.
I wish more people would talk
Husband,
about that too.
husband wants a hot dog. Well, then he is an adult who has his
Yeah.
own money, who has his own vehicle. Go get a freaking dollar hot dog at Costco, right? On your way home from work.
Yes.
But I
Let's
wish
just have it in
I,
the home.
I wish more people would talk about that. And I have that conversation with my clients a lot. But removing the issue is not a disordered eating habit. Removing the issue is more likely to help you than hurt you.
Mhm.
So I think there's such like a trend maybe on Instagram or just the language that you use. Everything's okay. You're going to be okay, right? Everything's fine. You can go off plan. You're going to be totally fine. And to a certain extent, yeah, like it's fine to go off plan. It's fine to enjoy the food. But when the food is an issue in your home, it's more than okay to remove it. That's not disordered. That is
Yeah.
taking an obstacle and getting it out of your. I used to have that issue with Oreos. I had to literally stop buying Oreos in the house because I can't go in the cabinet and have three. I can go in the cabinet and have 30, right?
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
take it
Yeah.
out of the
Yeah.
house. You remove it until you get to the point where I know I can buy the little snack packs and have three.
Well, and that is such a good way to do it. So don't bring it in the house where there's 30 in a package and you
Right.
come home, you have a bad day, your, for lack of a better word, willpower is down, right? You're stressed, all of that. And yeah, it's going to be way easier to overeat those because you're using it to soothe and it feels really good. I get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if instead you can go to the grocery store, the gas station and get those single servings and only eat that one. Like, don't eat it in the parking lot. So then it's like, oh, that was really good. Like, let me go run in and buy one more. Like, no, but go somewhere or bring it home, sit with it, eat it slowly, mindfully, be present, enjoy it, and then it's gone. And you have to sit with that discomfort of wanting more and there no longer being anything for you to eat. And that is what builds the evidence that, like, oh, I'm not addicted to these foods. Oh, I
Mhm.
can't stop a just one. And yeah, even if it feels uncomfortable, like I'm gonna move on from it. So I think
That's an
starting with
amazing strategy. I mean, you just
what?
gave people, that's an amazing strategy. I think everybody can relate to what you just said. You don't have to go buy the full pint of ice cream for the week.
No.
You can
Do the
buy
little ones.
serving things of ice cream and in your home because you don't need to go to the grocery store on the weekend. And the willpower thing gets me too. Willpower to me kind of works with the word moderation. I know
Mm,
so many people that moderate themselves out of health.
mhm, yeah.
Every time every time they don't follow plan, they'll say, "Well, I'm just trying to find moderation." Well, you found
Oh,
moderation 5 of your 7 days this week.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And I'm sorry, balance is bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Let
agree. Yeah.
and I realize that this is semantics at the end of the day. Like I understand what people say when they're talking about balance, but if we're getting nitpicky, balance is literally two things being completely equal. So I'm sorry, if your balance is 50-50, that ain't getting you results.
No, 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 yeah.
So it needs to look, and for the women I coach, the 40 plus crowd who are dealing with some hormonal changes and all that, I really believe that 80-20 ain't cutting it anymore. Like it needs to be closer to 90 10,
9 to 10.
95, like they really need to like focus on those whole foods.
Yeah.
Uh yeah, and I hate to say it, but it's the truth. So yeah, moderation, balance, whatever you want it to look like. You can include some of those things, but it has to be far less like in quantity and in the amount of times it happens throughout the week if you really want to see those results. And then going back to the willpower thing, because I really don't believe in it. And everyone will look at me like, you're so disciplined. You have so much willpower. It's like, you know why? Because I don't put myself in environments where I need it.
Yeah.
And I went through, and I'm very open about this. I don't have issues with alcohol or drugs or whatever, but I did go through the 12-step process years ago. I think it is the greatest program that every single person
Good
should
for
go through.
you. Good for-
Like talk about awareness.
Yeah.
Uh, and my mentor, not my sponsor, but like a guy who coached me for 6 years, who also was a recovering addict, and we developed this like program together for people who are addicted to substances or even just like their own negative emotions, right? And he used to always say, if you want a haircut, like hang around in the barber shop.
Hmm.
So the same is true if you want to overeat food, bring it into your house. I do not bring in overly tempting foods into my environment because I can't always be trusted around them either,
Hmm.
you know?
Which I
So
think is like that's I think more people need to realize that we're all pretty much falling into that box. A
yeah,
lot of us, if we have that temptation in the home, we're probably going to give into that temptation. We're not like as strong mentally as people want to think. The difference is I don't buy it. You
yeah.
know, every fourth trip to the grocery store is when I'll get a little ice cream, right? Like it's not every week.
Right. And I spent a lot of time at mom's house. She lives 5 minutes down the street, and she loves to tempt me by bringing in the Costco cashew clusters. If you talk about crack,
Yeah.
like that is the most hyper palatable food I think I've ever eaten. It is so delicious. I'll post about it. People are like, oh my gosh, that stuff is like, I cannot be trusted. And I do like, I'll open the pantry and there it is. The bag is staring in my face. And most of the time I can resist it. But I'm a huge college football fan. Like I get very over emotional about Oregon football. And I remember, I think it was not last season, but the season before that, they were playing in this game that was, at the end of the season, and it was going to see if they were like going to, I know it was like one of the bowl games or something like that. And it was coming down to the wire. And I was so stressed out. And all I could think about were those cashew clusters. I'm like, I just want to eat that so bad. And instead, so it's like I still get tempted too. But what did I got my ass up off the couch and I like paced the house back and forth. Just
Task. Yep.
feel like they won. I'm like, okay,
Yep.
now calm down. But having those strategies in place also to overcome the temptations.
Yeah, I was actually going to add that earlier. Tasking yourself, I think, is a great strategy when it comes to wanting a snack or wanting something that's tempting in the house. And I use it for myself a lot of the time. If I go for a 10-minute walk down the street or even walk to the mailbox and I come back in the house and I still want that snack, okay, I might have that snack, but 9 times out of 10, I don't really want it. I just
Yes.
needed something to do.
Yes, your brain wants to be busy. And my
Hmm.
And again,
favorite, oh, go on.
but it's habits. People have these routines, and it's the nighttime glass of wine, I think, for women and men, well, men, women, and it's not, it's the routine, right? It's it's arguably just something they're doing. If you
Hmm.
replace that with a sugar-free caramel and they did it for a week, then
Yeah.
That
why
would become
use
it.
free
Yeah.
Yeah.
caramel instead of the wine? If you replaced it with something else, it's the routine of that. So learning to swap routines with things that aren't there, and if they're disciplined enough to do it for a week, they'll find out they really don't need it. It's just
Hmm.
they sit down, it's 9 o'clock, they watch their favorite show, they pour the glass of wine, they drink it, and then it's oh well, it helps me relax. You educate them on that concept. If you start replacing the healthy routines and get people to really buy into it, they'll start changing.
Yes.
But it's hard to that routine.
Well, and I think that's where the disconnect is. It's like people are asking or thinking that we're asking them to give something up completely and just like sit on their hands and white knuckle it. It's like, no, like make the healthy swap. Or I don't even like the word healthy these days. Like make the swap that is like the more aligned choice.
Mhm.
So I remember, oh, this is probably like 6 years ago. I was still struggling with some of my health stuff, and I got really into the weeds with trying to avoid, all of the artificial ingredients and sweeteners. I was like a Diet Coke. I was going to say addict, but like I loved me a Diet Coke. And for a long time, I gave up Diet Coke because I was afraid that the aspartame was going to kill me.
Mhm.
Legit.
Mhm.
I mean, I went from drinking 3 Diet Cokes a day at one point in my life to cold
Zero.
turkey.
Ooh.
Yeah. But I replaced it with sparkling water. Then I found
Hmm.
those stevia drinks. And luckily I have seen the light and I know that Diet Coke is like not the devil and I brought it back to my life and I'm healthier and happier than ever.
Happy for it.
Right. But yeah, it was like all I needed to break that habit or that routine was something that was similar. So I
Right.
love that.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I love, I hope our conversation empowers people. I
Mhm.
hope people follow you on social and we'll post all to go get it because your content is very real. It's very applicable to 90% of the people. It's very honest. And I hope people are empowered by honesty and not turned away from honesty. It's
Yeah.
amazing how much our mind will convince of what we think is true. Um, because we don't want to believe it's not true. It's like the people that say, well, I basically eat the same thing every day, so I don't need to track. Well,
Mm.
that's not, if you look at research, that's not true.
Mhm.
The scale is the same way, right? People are like, well, I don't want to get on the scale ever because I feel bad about it.
Mhm.
Well, it is honest.
Yeah, because it's a
Hmm.
reflection of your behaviors.
It is honest and it is where you're at. And there is research around weighing that's beneficial. It's only one metric.
Mhm.
It is a metric. But a lot of people have an uncomfortable relationship with with food and the scale as soon as you ask them to track their food and get on the scale. All
Yeah.
of a
Hmm.
sudden, that's unhealthy. And that's just not true. Now, yes,
Right.
there are people that shouldn't do it, people that really who have issues and should not do that for like eating disorder issues in their past. Yes, I don't believe, but it's not the large percentage that
Right.
they want to say, right? So I hope people in this conversation are empowered by this and they're encouraged that yes, you can change habits.
Mhm.
Um, yes, a majority of your issues with your health are due to your own habits. It's not always your hormones, but it could be.
Mhm.
And chances are you just need to be a little bit more consistent. And it's possible.
Yeah, I love it.
I think
Empowering.
I think that's what your messages are.
That you wrapped it up perfectly and tied it with a love bow.
I really appreciate you coming on. I always try to be sensitive to people's time when I tell them we won't go longer. If we ever do a 2.0, I'd love to, especially get into other subjects that you talk about.
I know because
Totally.
we had this like kind of
Okay.
rough outline, and you even said
No,
that usually we go off the cuff, and
I want
love it.
authentic, as you know, authentic.
I'm yes, I'm
Yes.
so glad that it went in the direction it did. I will say I have been on a lot of podcasts over the years, and this has hands down been my favorite. So
Well,
Thank
you
you.
know,
great job.
when we started it, we really did it. Honestly, we did it because we want to have content to clip.
Sure. Yeah.
Because content's a game.
Mhm.
And we started to do it, and we're like, well, we just want to bring on cool people and reach out and have conversations with people that we want to talk to. And you're one of those people who are like, no, I want to talk to her because honestly, I think she's honest and I think she makes me chuckle. Like your content is so, I've read content that you've done and I've laughed. I'm like, oh, somebody's not going to like that today.
And that
Uh,
was, I nailed it. That was my intention.
yeah. And
Yes,
I'm like, I loved it. So I hope we can do more. Um,
totally.
and come on again. I love having other coaches on because it gives me perspective.
Mhm.
It also makes me realize like, wow, other people are dealing with same things too.
Oh,
And
absolutely. Yeah.
I was going to add too, like we haven't done a mindset talk like this in a long time. And I
Yes.
think people need those baseline reminders over and over and over and over again. And I think it's very comforting to hear too that like the three struggles or the amount of struggles that the three of us have had or still have.
Yeah.
So I think there's value to that conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you
Yeah.
for
Thank you, Marcy.
allowing me. You're welcome. But yeah, I would love to come back and do a part
Yeah,
two.
we'll do a 2.0.
All right, guys, take care.
Thanks.